Hey everybody, it's Jeff from New York and welcome back to my Driving Around New York City with Jeff summer series. Today we are going to drive down Broadway. Broadway is known as a crooked street because if you look at the street layout of Manhattan, it's pretty much a grid until you get all the way downtown. So the streets are pretty straight and boxed off. Broadway is the only exception. It kind of runs diagonally going down the island. So it's also one of the longest streets in Manhattan as well. We just started on 110th Street and made a right onto Broadway. We're kind of like in the intersection areas of Harlem, Morningside Heights, and the Upper West Side. We're heading south. As we head further south, we'll definitely be into the Upper West Side of Manhattan. And then we're going to take Broadway all the way down to Times Square, which is where Broadway kind of ends, and then it picks up again after Times Square. But for the sake of this video, we're going to stop at Times Square. But it does go all the way down south into the Wall Street area to the very tippity bottom of Manhattan. So grab a coffee and perhaps a raspberry scone. Please don't get crumbs on my passenger seat. And let's enjoy this ride down Broadway, shall we? Broadway is not just the longest, but it's the oldest north-south main thoroughfare in New York City. Just how old is it? Well, Broadway was originally the Wiscasgak Trail, carved into the brush of Manhattan by its Native American inhabitants way back when Native Americans inhabited this island. And the trail originally snaked through the swamps and rocks along the length of the Manhattan Island. When the Dutch settled in Lower Manhattan, they called Broadway Heeren Way, which means gentleman's way or gentleman's street, and that word actually became highway over the years. It was renamed Broadway after the British took over the city because of its unusual width, hence Broadway. Although the current name of the street is simply Broadway, in 1776, the map of New York City labeled it as Broadway Street. I hope you're taking notes. There may be a pop quiz. Now, I know you're all New Yorkers, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate that, but not too many of you are actually New Yorkers from the city of New York. And for those of you who aren't, just a little information on where exactly we're at right now. New York is 5 boroughs, being Manhattan, Queens, Brooklyn, Bronx, and Staten Island. We are in Manhattan right now, driving south down Broadway. We have the Hudson River just a couple blocks to our right here, and Central Park is just a few blocks to our left. And currently we are driving right through the heart of the Upper West Side. Don't forget to look for Cabby, who always makes a cameo appearance in all my 4K videos. Sometimes he's easy to spot, other times not so much. Be the first to comment on the timestamp where Cabby is, and I'll give you a shout out on my next video. And a shout out to Cricket Buscos, who found Clarice the Miss America crown in my latest Atlantic City video, Caesars Forum Tower Room Tour. Congratulations, Cricket. And another shout out to Lisa Belgrove, who gave a super thanks in a recent video. I appreciate your support, Lisa. Thank you so much. This structure on the left is actually the 96th Street subway station. Back in the early days of the New York channel, I did lots of videos here on Broadway as well as other areas of New York City, but the ones on Broadway I just can't seem to find. They're not on the channel, it appears, and I think I'm going to have to go around the house and look for some old hard drives because I know I have them somewhere.
One of them includes Tom's Diner, the diner that the Seinfeld crew used to visit in the TV series. Apparently they lived on the Upper West Side. And another one is, that's by the way, is north of us on 112th Street. And another one is Zabar's, a famous Jewish deli here on Broadway. And we haven't passed that yet. It's going to be coming up in about 10 blocks on the right-hand side. I did a video there too as well. I'm really going to look for those videos. Hopefully I can dig them up and I'll re-show them to you guys sometime in the future. And hey, if I can't find them, I'll just have to revisit those places. It sounds like a lot of fun. I had mentioned Tom's Diner a couple moments ago, and another person, not just Seinfeld, who made Tom's Diner famous was a singer-songwriter called Suzanne Vega. I don't know if any of you guys remember her. I'm sure you've heard of that song, though. It was back in the 90s, and it was all about her visit to Tom's Diner. The song playing in the background is by Jimmy Fontanez, and it's called Cha Cappella. It's a cappella group, and it's all human voices, no musical instruments at all. I've played it in a couple of my videos. I really like it. It's very cheerful. By the way, we passed Carmine's Italian restaurant a couple blocks ago on the left-hand side. Carmine's has another location here in Midtown, as well as Atlantic City and Las Vegas. And in just a couple more blocks, you'll see Zabar's on the right-hand side, that Jewish deli I was telling you about. Now, earlier in the video, I told you that Broadway is one of the only or one of the few streets in Manhattan that doesn't travel in a straight line. It's not part of the grid. We're going to see now, we've been pretty much traveling in a straight line, but now it's going to start curving towards the east or to the left. And it's going to start doing that around Lincoln Center, which will be coming up on our right-hand side. Lincoln Center, of course, home to the Met, which recently had a Met Gala, by the way, if you haven't heard. And when we get to Columbus Circle, which is where CNN, by the way, is located, their headquarters, that Columbus Circle is at the most southern west part of Central Park. Broadway becomes a one-way heading south. Up till now, it's still running two ways. You'll see as we drive along that some of these intersections become quite strange, and they have all these weird triangular angles and things like that. And that's because Broadway is interrupting that basic grid, that layout of all the streets here in Manhattan. So, do any of you find this interesting, or am I just sounding like a geek? Coming up shortly here on our right-hand side will be the Lincoln Center for the Performing Arts, including the Metropolitan Opera House. I did a video there too. I don't know where all these videos went to. Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying the video, and if you are, give it a thumbs up, and while you're at it, if you're not subscribed to the New Yawk channel already, subscribe right now. It really does help the channel out. And while you're at it, if you'd like to support the New Yawk channel, just click on that thanks button right underneath the video. I appreciate your support, guys. We're just about getting ready to go around the Columbus Circle. Again, the very southern west point of Central Park. It's a huge park, takes up about a quarter of the size of Manhattan. And that globe you see on the left hand is pretty much a great photo opportunity. It's been photographed lots of times. That's actually the Columbus Circle subway station. Those very tall skyscrapers are actually residential towers, very expensive residential towers. As a matter of fact, the street on Central Park South is actually also known as Billionaires Row. And on our left we have Columbus Circle, and on our right the CNN headquarters. We're actually getting very close to Times Square now, which will be the end of this video because we can't go any further unless we go around Times Square, and that'll be for another day. We're also heading right now into the theater district of New York, where Broadway is also known as the Great White Way. If we were to follow Broadway all the way to the downtown area, it would be known also as the Canyon of Heroes. So it has a couple of nicknames. Of course, the Canyon of Heroes is where all those ticker tape parades are held. And on the right-hand side is the Ed Sullivan Theater, currently home to The Late Show. That's where David Letterman also did his show, and also where the Beatles first came to America in 1964. The theater district itself is quite large, and I'm going to cover that entire area in another Driving with Jeff Around New York City video coming up soon. In that video, I'll take you around all the famous theaters up and down the streets. Hey guys, if you're a fan of the New Yawk channel, check out the new Facebook New Yawk fan page. It's created and maintained by Dan Kraft, also known around here as Real Unc D. I'll leave a link in the description below. Thank you, Dan, so much for your hard work. I'm a little ashamed to tell you, but see that Sbarro across the street? I can't tell you how many times I stopped in there for a slice and a cold beer or maybe something else Italian. Relatively inexpensive for the Times Square area. The food is good. It's 2 stories high. And I think I did a video in there as well. I don't know where all these videos went. And here we are at Times Square. Broadway ends here just for a couple of blocks and then it continues on the other side of Times Square. I hope you guys enjoyed our drive down Broadway and lots more coming from the Jeff Drives Around New York City series, a weekend series here on the New York channel. Where will we be driving around next weekend? Stay tuned.
I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like, comment, ask some questions, and most importantly, subscribe by clicking on the button on the left. You can visit all of my New York videos by clicking on the top right, or check out my videos on other favorite places to visit by clicking on the bottom right. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you around the city.